Hello and welcome everyone. We are officially kicking off season 4 of We Need to Talk right here from the studio. And by studio, I mean home. Obviously things look a little different this season, but we are still here for a good time. And how about that fabulous new intro? I'm Lianna Golden, the only returning panelist this year, but I can't wait to introduce you to our new squad. I'm an aspiring broadcast news reporter, senior journalism and Spanish major, and I will be guiding you through today's episode. So now let's go over to our panel. First up is Suman.
Hi everyone, I'm Suman Ann.
Thank you, Suman. Next up is Bibi.
Hey everybody, I'm Bibi.
Thank you, Bibi. Make sure you stick around until break to see Bibi's feature segment. And now, last but not least, let me introduce the wonderful Aledia.
Hey everybody, I'm Aledia Bani.
Thank you, Aledia. We are so excited to kick off this season. And even though we're not in the studio together, the season will be a special one. So let's not waste any time and let's get started. We're gonna go on to our first topic. Ladies, let's address the elephant in the room. We've all been in quarantine for months and we were excited to be at school, but unfortunately that did not last so long. So how are you all adapting to online school? And let us know where you're living, at school or at home. Anyone, how's it going so far?
I just feel like it's dragging. I don't know. I feel like classes have so much more work than typical in-class sessions. And I don't know if it's just in my head because I'm living off campus, but I'm living in my apartment by myself. So I don't know if it's that, but it just feels like school is a lot more work this semester than typically. Aledia, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to definitely agree with that. I feel like I have a lot more busy work, or maybe it's simply that I don't feel as engaged as in a classroom setting. It's not ideal for the way that I learn, but I am starting to get used to it. I feel like holding myself accountable with my agenda or a planner has been the best way possible.
I think that's honestly been huge. I have to-do lists. Usually there are sticky notes all over this wall. I have to take them down, but it's just I need to stay on track with reminders, otherwise I forget. Everything's on Canvas in modules or assignments. I get a little lost. I'm in a dorm on campus, so I'm nearby classes, but I agree with you, Aledia. It's definitely hard to keep up. Suman, how's it going for you?
Yeah, so I live off campus with my parents, but I think this semester it's been a lot more harder, like Bibi said. And I'm not really sure how to separate my home and work life because now everything's just in one room. So at first I was really excited about it because I didn't have to travel 1.5 hours to come to school. But now I'm just sitting in one spot Tuesday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. just sitting in front of the computer, and it's getting really hard, but I'd still prefer this instead of going to class because again, I don't have to travel as much.
Yeah, I feel that, Suman. I also am a commuter student, and I'm living in my family home right now, so it's nice not having to do that travel to Temple, but now I'm taking it for granted. I wish I could.
Eliminating the commute time, it can kind of be a blessing, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with you have so much more time? Is that good? Is that bad? What do we think?
A little bit of both. It's good because I can kind of roll out of bed, but bad because I can roll out of bed. So I find myself kind of going into class with pajamas sometimes and then just throwing on a pair of earrings.
Oh, the earrings mask up the sleepiness. That's funny.
Yeah.
I like that.
What about you, Suman?
It's easier for me too. I just have to sit in bed and just go through all my classes. But it gets a little bit more harder because all my classes are 10 minutes. They all have a 10-minute break in there. So again, I'm just rushing to the bathroom, coming back out, sitting in class, or just rushing back to get some food and then coming back and sitting for class. So it's hard, but again, I still do consider it a blessing because 1.5 hours is a lot. There's a lot of stuff you can do within that time frame. So it's easier for me and it's a blessing, but it's hard, but that's what comes with all of this adjusted learning.
I know, Bibi, being so close to campus, do you find that, is it tough being so close yet so far, or you're I'm good?
No, I just stay in my place. I will say though, the one thing that I do find difficult is you know, like when you get like midway through the semester, you start to kind of dread going up to class. You're like, oh, school again. Well, like I feel that way about my living room because that is now my classroom. So it's like I have to mentally separate the fact that this is where I live, but also this is where I'm doing the bulk of my work now. So I do find that to be a little bit difficult, but no, I haven't been up to campus unless like it's absolutely necessary because it's a lot of people and stuff going on. So it's just still, even with going virtual, there's still quite a few people. So I just keep my distance.
I know, keeping your distance never hurt anyone. So speaking of distance, we're going to move on to our next topic, but I'll keep up with the pandemic talk because obviously it has all affected our lives in so many ways and there's just so much to discuss from so many different points of view. So going with that, next we're going to move on to socializing and dating. So obviously there are fewer opportunities to do all of that during a pandemic and during quarantine. So how are all of you handling dating and putting yourselves out there to meet new people during a pandemic? What does that mean? Anyone?
No one. Yeah, I guess it's kind of non-existent.
I feel like you have something you want to say. What do you think?
So I don't know. I feel like it's non-existent because I'm not really into like dating apps or anything like that. I'm still, I guess, old-fashioned in the sense that like I want to meet somebody in person in an organic way, and that's just not really possible right now. But it's fine. I'm doing fine.
No, that's true though. I mean, meeting someone organically when you can't even maybe see them face to face is tough.
What about you guys?
This whole question doesn't actually apply to me because I stopped dating a while back, so I'm pretty much living the single life and I enjoy it so much, so I don't even think about dating another person, which is kind of sad, but at the same time I'm pretty happy with how things are going.
Yeah, I mean, why bother if you don't, you know?
I mean, I've thought about it, and I've used the dating apps and like been on there chatting with people or whatever. Video dates are definitely a thing. Like I watched a movie while having somebody propped up on my laptop, you know what I mean? But like that, what did you say?
What was that like? Were you able to talk or just?
Yeah, I mean, you are, but you kind of don't want to because you don't want to interrupt and like you have to start it at the exact time and like, so like there's little intricacies, but for the most part, it's kind of like being with the person except there's just no like cuddling or any like physical contact. But being single and like dating virtually, I do feel like is a little bit more difficult in a sense of like, this sounds so cliche, but like I go off of vibes. So like I like to be in front of a person and do have that organic meeting. But at the same time, like at least being virtual does afford you the opportunity to get to know somebody a little bit more before getting to know them in person. At least using dating apps and online dating.
Right. And I wonder, outside of this circle of the four of us, do you think, because we just said we're kind of using the apps, we're kind of not, do you think it's irresponsible to be using dating apps during a pandemic? Just like be meeting random people who you don't know where they've been or who they've been contact to?
It can be. It can definitely be dangerous too, because if you do decide to meet up, like you said, we don't know what you've been doing. They don't know what we've been doing. I didn't even consider that. It definitely could be.
I know. I never even think about it. I do have a boyfriend actually, so his name's Ben. He's a great guy. Eventually, we'll talk about him. Probably he'll come up again.
Yeah.
But I love him very much, and I just feel very grateful to have someone right now. I don't have to use the apps. I don't have to be putting myself out there. We're kind of in the same circle, in the same bubble, which is good. But I understand that it can be tough. You know, if you still need to be meeting people. You know, I don't know what that's like.
Yeah, I mean, it can be a little bit harmless. I saw so many things on social media of people like the quarantine dating where they're like, this is FaceTiming or Zooming in that aspect. I think that's okay. I guess when you follow through and decide to meet up in person, it is a personal decision because you kind of have to go through like your history and the other person's history, and then it's up to those two individuals and the people that are in their direct social lives if that's a risk they're willing to take.
I also think that this whole, I mean, dating apps are like, it's got both pros and cons, but I think during this time, this pandemic as well, or even before, like dating apps are like the first barrier of entry before something else goes on. So like even if you don't meet directly, you have your phone to kind of help you make a connection with the other person. So it's still, you can kind of get ease into the whole thing and be comfortable with it before you jump in. So like you'll probably have an idea of how the person is depending on what they're giving off of. So like instead of directly meeting, I do think having like a dating app is fine, but it just doesn't work for me because again, I'm more of a traditional person and I don't like dating. I don't like the whole feel of it. It's just kind of like looking for stuff and trying to see what you like, but I just don't, I'm not up for experimentation. I kind of gotta want, if I see something, I kind of want it. So just kind of, I'm stuck on that road. So but I still do think for a lot of people it works and good for them, honestly.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And based on that conversation, we're going to wrap it up here, but we have a lot more to cover. So let's take a short break. We're going to see Bibi answer some hot questions when we return. We'll be right back. Stick around.
Hi, Bibi.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. You ready to answer some questions?
I sure am.
All right. What's your favorite app?
My favorite app is probably my banking app. No, I'm kidding. It's YouTube. I'm a YouTube fanatic.
Great. What is a movie you could watch over and over again?
It would probably be a tie between Hitch and Harlem Nights.
We love some Will Smith.
Definitely do.
What's the greatest gift you've ever received?
Life. Literally the air I breathe.
I love it. What's your biggest fear?
My biggest fear is leaving this world before leaving my mark on it.
So where do you see yourself in 10 years?
In 10 years, I see myself on your television screens. I see myself married with a few mini-me's, and hopefully I'm an international icon.
Nice. Who is one person you really want to meet but haven't gotten the chance to yet?
From here, I would say Dr. Mark Lamont Hill, but in the world, Rihanna, because that's my girl.
What is one thing you own that you truly cherish?
My brain and my lips.
Love it. What's your favorite song to blast in the car?
Return of the Mac by Mac Morrison.
Is there anything you wish you could redo in life?
No. Everything that I've done and experienced has led me to being who I am today.
Have you ever been in love?
No, not yet, but I have a feeling I will be very soon.
If you could create any law, what would it be?
I would create a law to end qualified immunity and to guarantee prison time to police officers who kill unarmed people.
Yes. What charitable organization is close to your heart?
My own, AMSAC, Association for Multiple Sclerosis in the African American Community.
We love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. Bibi, that segment was amazing. Thank you so much. Good news is each episode will feature a short showcase of our hosts, so get excited, y'all. That's going to be great. All right, back to business. Let's dive into our next topic, shall we? A few of us will be graduating this year, which is pretty scary, I won't lie, especially when you're going into a job market where you may face some tough decisions. But now, the question is for you guys, would you take a job with a company whose values or political opinions don't align with your own? Bibi, what do you think?
I just feel like that is such a heavy question. I think it's a luxury to be able to say that this company offered me a position, but I don't agree with a lot of their politics or a lot of their views and beliefs, so I'm gonna pass and select a different company to work for, or just not work for anybody. And unfortunately, I don't think that's a luxury a lot of us are afforded because we do have to live, and to live we need an income. But personally, if I had like free range of choice, obviously no, I wouldn't. But I think the situations that we're in now, I unfortunately would have to. I would feel like obligated to, especially if it was my only option. But Suman, what do you think? Because I see you nodding over there.
I do agree with you. That's exactly what I was thinking as well. Because like when you get out of college, you don't really have the choice. You don't have a variety of options that you can go in. So if there's one company who you don't agree with end up giving you a job, you kind of have to take it because you have to earn an income. But as you get older and as your career kind of progresses, you're probably going to get a lot more options than before, and you'll probably have a lot more variety in choosing. So I think that's when I would be like, okay, I'm gonna actually reject this offer because I don't align with their values. But if it's right out of college, I'm not sure if I would, because I won't have a choice in doing that. So that's what I think. What do you think about it, Aledia?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough decision. When you're given no options, you kind of take what's dealt to you. But if I do have the option, I would definitely pick a company that aligns with my own views, just because work is such a big part of our lives. And if we're unhappy at work, then it's going to start reflecting on different aspects on our own lives. So if I had the choice, I would definitely not choose a company with different views than myself.
See, as much as I want to agree with that, like, yeah, it affects so much of your life, this and that, but if I'm fresh out of college and a company I personally don't love offers me a job, I think I would just have to take it. I would just have to, especially in this market. I mean, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. I know it might be tough, but I need a job and I don't have to stay there forever, but it's work, it's experience, and it's all about the money too, which is so sad. But how are we supposed to, come out of college and if I'm not in love with the company, but they're still going to offer me money that I can live my life with, then I might have to take it, which is sad, but sometimes it's true. It doesn't mean forever. I don't know, bringing the money into it.
I don't know. I was actually in kind of a sort of dilemma like this over the summer. I participated in a writing fellowship, and when I applied, I actually didn't do that much research because somebody sent it to me. And then I was accepted into the fellowship, and I started doing research, and I found that the organization and company that sponsored it was a political organization, and it was like the polar opposite of my own views. And so right away I was turned off. I was like, I'm not going to do this fellowship. And then I had to check my own biases, especially as a journalist, to not kind of have this polarized mentality. So after thinking it through, I did follow through with the fellowship. And at times there were like comments made by the instructor or peers that kind of threw me off, but I was glad that I stuck through with it because I gained much more interesting perspectives than I'm usually surrounded with.
Right.
And, to bounce that, I was just thinking something similar. Like, as a grad student, I mean, I'm a little bit older than you guys, right? Like, we know. So I've worked for a long time, and I was gonna say that I think in the past, I know in the past that I've accepted jobs or positions at different companies that my views did not align with. And I've just kind of had to grin and bear it. Or maybe there was something that I was able to learn from it, like Aledia was explaining. But I think now in particular, in such a politically charged climate, that I would be doing myself a disservice if I actually accepted a position with a company that whose views I did not align with mine. I think only now I would feel that much more than, like, let's say if it was 2 or 3 years ago, I'd probably be like, yeah, it's about the money, I need the experience, not a big deal. But like now I would feel like, okay, you need to consider it more so than you did before.
Right. Thank you, Bibi. So thank you all for your opinions there. I'm interested to see where we all end up. We'll see where that goes. So we're gonna move on to our next topic. Recently, our wonderful producer found herself in a Zoom class where a male said he does not believe women are funny because all they talk about is sex. He just said that. He just said women are not funny because they talk about sex. He just threw that out there. Whether it's regarding race, gender, sexuality, religion, etc., is it our job, just as human beings, to correct someone when they speak insensitively? You're face to face with someone and they say something like this to your face. Suman, what do you do?
If it's somebody I know, I'm definitely gonna call that person out because that is insensitive. And if you've been friends with me for long, it's not something you should be making like jokes on or comments on. But again, when it comes to like people I don't know and I've just met them and they're talking about it, it's difficult for me. It depends on how courageous I am to go out and speak about it, or how hard how difficult the topic is. Like if it's really really harsh, if it's the person who's saying it is really harsh and it really goes to the polar opposite of my views, and if it's something that all of us kind of, if it's a general wrong answer to say, then I'm gonna speak out on it because I know I'm gonna have people backing me up in the process. But otherwise, I'll probably just kind of keep quiet because I'm a little introverted, so it'll be hard for me. But there have been situations where I had to keep quiet because the person wouldn't understand, even if you go tell them, even if you try explaining to them, if you give them a half an hour talk on it, also they wouldn't understand it because they just don't care. So you kind of have to pick and choose your battles when it comes to that, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's tough. It's tough to, if you're like looking at someone and they just upset you, but you can't address it just for whatever reason. That's tough. I do feel I would be able to just be like, what did you just say? But I mean, Suman, I completely hear where you're coming from, and I don't know. Alesia, what do you do?
Yeah, I feel like it is easier through a keyboard and a screen to type a response to somebody, but it's when we're face to face, do we hold each other accountable as people? And I think the number one thing to consider is like, do you feel safe speaking out? Like just assessing your environment and who you're with. And for me, I typically will speak out, even if it's a stranger. I've learned, getting angry and or passionate in a sense isn't always helpful, but trying to have like a calm conversation with somebody just to learning about where that comment came from or that perspective is really useful. Granted, sometimes that doesn't work because the person is so headstrong in their opinion or their view.
I was gonna say it'd be nice to be able to have a little educational moment and be like, well, you shouldn't say this because of this, that, and the third. But like, let's be honest, especially now, again, mentioning the politically charged climate that we're in, people are very headstrong and they're very passionate about how they feel. So 9 times out of 10, I feel like the conversation is gonna take a pretty aggressive turn. So for me personally, that's not an issue. A, because I love to debate, and B, I don't feel like anybody can, I don't feel like there's anything anybody can say that'll make me like not give my opinion, right? And also, if you feel bold enough to make a statement, especially for like in a classroom setting or something like that, you feel bold enough to make that statement, you should be bold enough to receive a response. Like somebody is going to say something, and 9 times out of 10, that somebody is me. So that is how I feel about the subject. I would definitely respond to it, especially if somebody made a generalization like that. Like, who is going to defend us? So,
yeah, whose place is it to say that to your face? And I almost want someone to say something like that to you so that you can just go off on them. You can just go off and be like, you messed with the wrong person.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? People get surprised when you respond back to them because they're so emboldened and they've created like this almost idea in their mind, like they can say whatever they want to say, but nobody else can say anything to them. So when somebody does respond, it almost throws them off. And you do find, again, going back to Alesia, like with the whole educational point, you'll find that maybe it is a little bit of ignorance and there may be some space to learn there, but for the most part, it's just outright ignorance, I'll say.
Outright ignorance. Alesia.
So what about when, someone makes a comment and you want to respond, but it's not like about an identity that you hold? Do you feel that it's your responsibility to advocate for others and communities that you're not a part of?
Yes,
Absolutely.
but
Yes.
I was gonna say, but it's because also I'm a part of a community that has had to have other people advocate for me. So as much as I'm rah-rah myself, like there was a point in time, and there still is a point in time where people had to speak up for my community being a marginalized community. So I definitely would speak on behalf of another one to definitely support because I've received that same compassion. Why wouldn't I give that to someone else?
Yeah, Bibi, I absolutely agree. It is important to advocate for those who may not identify with the same think the same identities that you have, but we have to be there for each other. I absolutely agree, Aledia. So ladies, thank you. I think that is a wonderful place for us to leave off. Give it up for our amazing new team, and be sure to check out our next episode. And hey, while you're at it, why not give us a follow on social media too? Find us at We Need to Talk TUTV and watch us on TUTV, Comcast 50, Verizon 45. Ladies, I'm Lianna Golden, and the ladies of We Need to Talk, we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Bye.